How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Beis, Daf 2 of Masechta BavaMetzia. Friends. Yo, friends. Friends, I don't have a lot of time, friends. I don't have a lot of time. Shabbos is starting. Maybe I'll just get as far as I get. Who knows? Maybe I'll be able to finish it. That'll be great. Chever. Shnai Moichsim Betalis. BavaMetzia, friends. Okay. BavaMetzia is going to be great. But I think it's going to be really hard. But it's going to be great. Shnaim Oichzim Betalis. What can I tell you? I can tell you that I'm in a rush, so I got to get going. But I think it should be good. Shnaim Oichzim Betalis. Okay, so two people are fighting over a talis. Zeomer Ani Mitzosir. Reuven says, I found it. Zeomer Ani Mitzosir. Shimon says, what are you talking about? I found it. Zeomer Kula Shali. Zeomer Kula Shali. Reuven says, it's all mine. Shimon says, what are you talking about? It's all mine. Ze yishava she'ein lo ba pochis mechetzio. V'ze yishava she'ein lo ba pochis mechetzio. V'yachloku. So Reuven swears that he owns at least half of it. Shimon swears that he owns at least half of it. And they divide it in half. Ze omer kula shali. V'ze omer chetzia shali. Interesting. Reuven says it's all mine. Shimon says half of it is mine. So regarding half of it, everyone agrees that half of it belongs to Reuven, right? Because Shimon's only claiming half of it. So everyone agrees that 50% of it is entirely Reuven's. In terms of the second 50%, Shimon says it's his, Reuven says it's his, because Reuven, after all, says all of it's his. So it's the second half that they split in half. So basically, Shimon gets 25% and Reuven gets 75%. So Haomer Kula Shali, so Reuven who says it's all mine, Yishava she'ein lo ba pochus mishlosha chalokim. So Reuven swears that he owns no less than 75%. Ve'omer chetzia shali, and Shimon who says that half of it is mine, Yishava she'ein lo ba pochis merivia. So Shimon swears that he owns no less than 25% of the talis. Zenotel shlosha chalakum v'zenotel revia, and then Reuven chaps 3/4, Shimon chaps 1/4. Hayu shnaim rochvin al gabe behema. If you have Reuven and Shimon riding on an animal, or shahoya echad rochiv ve'echad manik, or one of them was riding on it, the other one was escorting it, was leading it. Zeomer kula shali, zeomer kula shali. Reuven says it's my animal. Shimon says it's my animal. Reuven swears that he owns at least 50% of the animal. Shimon swears that he owns at least 50% of the animal. And v'yachloku, they split it in half. Now, if they agree, I think, what was it? That they agree that they only own 50%, I think, of it. Or where they have witnesses, then wait 1 second. So if they agree that they acquired the cloak simultaneously, or that there are witnesses who testified that the talis was acquired simultaneously, so then they just divide it in half without a shivur. Okay. Lomali lemisno ze omer ani mitzosia, ze omer ani mitzosia, ze omer kula shali, ze omer Kulisheli lesne chado. So for the Gemara, there's a lot of words at the beginning of the Mishnah. Right? If we look at the beginning of the Mishnah, Shnai mochsim tal, ze omer ani mitzosir, ze omer ani mitzosir, ze omer kulisheli, ze omer kulisheli. Reuven says I found it. Shimon says I found it. Reuven says it's all mine. Shimon says it's all mine. Lesne chado. Just teach one of them, right? Why not just say Reuven says it's mine, Shimon says it's mine. Shouldn't that be enough? So, and for the Gemara, Chada Katoni. It is really only teaching at the end of the day one thing. Ze omer ani mitzosia v'chula shali, v'ze omer ani mitzosia v'chula shali. They're not making two claims, they're really each making one claim, which is, I found it, and therefore it's mine. That's it. They're only saying, right? So Reuven says, I found it, it's mine. Shimon says, I found it, it's mine. That's it. It's not two separate claims. It's really one claim with two sections. Where am I? Vilesne ani mitzasiya v'ano yodayin in the kula shalim. But still, meh. Well, how about this? Just say ani mitzasiya, and then obviously, if I found it, what I'm saying is I found it and it's mine. So just say ani mitzasiya, and that should be enough. Well, itana ani mitzasiya, if it would simply say I found it, have amino my mitzasiya, I might think, what does it mean that I found it? Re'isiya, I saw it first. Afal gavdilo asoy liyode b're'iya ba'al mokoni. I might think that even though he didn't actually pick it up and chop it, he just said, I saw it first, and that might be enough. I may, right? If it only said ani mitzasiya, I might think that what he's saying is, I saw it first, and therefore it's mine. That seeing is enough for it to be his. Tanakula shali, therefore it says, no, it's all mine. I chopped it. The biri'iyah lo kani. That seeing is not enough. It requires chopping. Umimotzis omart my mitzosiyah re'isiho. But meh. Is that really, really? Would you really think that ani mitzosiyah means that I saw it first? That mitzosiyah means seeing, not chopping? V'ha'omar ravnoi u'mitzosoda soy liyodei mashma. This is a Gemara that we saw in Masechta Bava Kame. That Rav Noi says that when it says u'mitzoso b'yashavas aveda, that mitzoso means not just I saw it, but I took it. I found it. I took it. So mitzosiyah doesn't simply mean to see it. It means to take it. In u'mitzoso dikra de also liyodei mashma. That may be true. That biblically speaking, when the Torah says u'mitzoso, it means that he took it. Sure, in the Torah. But umihu. But over here, the Mishnayos are for the people. Tana lishna de al manoka. The Tana of the Mishnah mentioned the way that the people speak. Umi de chazile omer ono ashkochis va'afal gavdelo asoy liyodei biri'iyah ba'alma koni. That the Tana of the Mishnah mentioned the way that the people speak, and I'm going to read that again. Umi de chazile, and the way that the people speak is that once a person sees something, Omar, he says, Ono ashkochis, I found it. From the time that he sees it, he says, I found it. And even though he hasn't actually chopped it yet, Biri'iyah be'alma koni, I may think that seeing it is enough to make a kinyan. Tani kula shali, therefore the Mishnah then continues and says, it's all mine. The Biri'iyah be'alma lo kani la, that seeing alone is not enough. It requires chopping. Fact the Gemara, Vilesne kula shali velo boy ani mitzosiya. Now the Gemara suggests, okay, so if we're saying that it says ani mitzosiya v'chula shali because ani mitzosiya is not enough, ani mitzosiya is not enough, and therefore you need kula shali to say you actually have to chop it. So why not just say the kula shali bit, that you have to chop it, and just forget about the ani mitzosiya part? Because after all, ani mitzosiya, we're saying, doesn't work. It's not enough. So itane kula shali, well, if it would have done that, if it would have gone straight to the kula shali bit, hava amina, I would have said, be'alma dikatoni mitzosiya b're'iya be'alma koni. Well, if over here in our Mishnah, we just went straight to the kula shali part, that you have to chop it, well then then it wouldn't be teaching us anything about ani mitzosiya. And I might think that in other places where it mentions ani mitzosiya, it's saying, what does that mean? To see it. And seeing in general is enough. So therefore it says ani mitzosiya v'chula shali, in order to, let's go back to for a second. So Tana ani mitzosiya that it mentions ani mitzasiyah, I found it, v'hadar kula shali, and then it says, and it's all mine, I took it. The Mishnah Yisera, that the extra sort of teaching over here, that we have ani mitzasiyah and kula shali, ashma inon, it's teaching us the re'iyah lo kani, that in general re'iyah is not enough, meaning that the Tana is sort of going out of its way and being superfluous in order to teach us not just that you have to take it, but that mitzasiyah is not enough. And any other place where you see mitzasiyah, so then it would, mitzasiyah would not be enough to effect a kinyan. Okay. Umimotzis omar chada katani, but now affect the Gemara, but still, this whole concept of really the Mishnah is only teaching one thing. It's not really only teaching one thing. But it mentions ze vozeh, meaning we had said that it's all one thing, right? Right? Ze omer ani mitzasiyah v'chula sheli. It's all just one thing. I found it and therefore it's all mine. But that's not what the Mishnah says. It doesn't say ani mitzasiyah v'chula sheli. It says ze omer ani mitzasiyah, ze omer ani mitzasiyah, ze omer kula sheli, ze omer kula sheli. They're separate things. They're listed as separate things, not as one thing. Ani mitzasiyah v'chula shali. No, it mentions ani mitzasiyah, and separately it mentions the case of kula shali. So they're two separate things. Ze omer ani mitzasiyah, v'ze omer ani mitzasiyah, ze omer kula shali, v'ze omer v'chule. So we see that they're not just taught as one thing; they're taught as two separate things. So Omer Rab Popi v'Itemer of Shimi bar Ashi v'Amri Lakidi. Says a Papa, some say it's Tak of Shim bar Ashi, some say I guess it was unattributed. Reisha b'Metzia v'Seifa b'Mekach u'Memker. So actually we're talking about two different scenarios. The first scenario is a Metzia. You found it, okay? Right? Reuven and Shimon both find this talis, and they're both now claiming that they each found it. And the second scenario is if they're purchasing a cloak. Purchasing a cloak. Oh, my friend from this morning, she's not trying to open the door this time. She's just taking a photo outside the door. Alright. Anyways, where are we? I really gotta hurry up because Shabbos is coming. And it's not an Eretz Yisrael, we have 40 minutes. Here it's only 15 minutes apparently, so I gotta hustle over here. Oh, and then when it says v'chula shali, we're talking about not finding a cloak but purchasing a cloak. That Reuven and Shimon are both arguing that they purchased this talis. Okay, it's a little bit of a funny scenario, that purchasing thing, but v'tzricha, and we need both cases. We need the case of finding the talis as well as purchasing the talis. The Itana Metzia, okay, so if we would only have the scenario of finding the talis, so Hava Amina Metzia hu diramu Rabbanon Shvue Ole. So I might think that, look, Davka by when they both find the talis, and Reuven saying, I found it, it's mine, and Shimon saying, I found it, it's mine. So that is where they need to swear, that Reuven needs to swear that it's his, and Shimon swears that it's his, and then they divide it. Mishum demore, because you see, we have to find this. Okay, why do we need them to swear? We need them to swear because we don't trust them, right? We have to be concerned about the Ramoy. Who's the Shmendrik over here? 1 second. Anyways, who's the Shmendrik? Somebody, we're concerned somebody over here is going to be a Shmendrik. We're concerned somebody over here is going to be a Shmendrik. Why are we and therefore, because we're concerned somebody's going to be a Shmendrik, we can't trust him, and therefore we say, you're going to have to swear, and then the hope is that he's not going to be willing to swear if it's not true. And therefore the Itana Metzia, if we're talking about finding a talis, so I might think that Davka is when we're talking about finding, where the rabbis say that you have to swear, because we're concerned that by finding it, we're concerned that it's too easy to be a shmendrik and to lie. Mishum demori, because he's going to justify it. The shmendrik is going to justify his lie. V'omar, and he's going to say, Chavroi lab midi choser ba. At the end of the day, I know I'm being a shmendrik, I know that I'm lying, but I'm also not causing Shimon to lose out. Right? Reuven says, look, I know I'm lying, but I'm also not causing Shimon to lose out. After all, we're talking about finding a talis, finding a cloak. It's not like he had a cloak and I'm causing him to lose it or anything. He found it. And now instead of finding all of it, okay, fine, so he'll only be able to get half of it. But it's still 50% more than he had before. So Ezel atbis ve'ispelig baide. So let me go and get my hand in there and I'll claim, oh, it's mine. And we'll then divide it. And therefore, because it's too easy for Reuven to be a shmendrik over there and justify his shmendrikness, so therefore we say, okay, people, you're going to have to swear that you're telling the truth. But by purchasing the cloak, that each one claims that they purchased it, where you can't really make that claim of like I'm not causing him to lose out anything. So then Ema lo, so I would say maybe in that case it's not so easy, so to speak, and therefore maybe we don't need a shvua in order to sort of back up their claims or to ensure that their claims are truthful. And if we would only have the scenario where each claims to have purchased the cloak. So now, this is kind of a funny scenario. It seems that the scenario is where, Reuven goes to buy the cloak and he goes to a cloak store and he buys a cloak from the clerk. And then comes Shimon and he throws some money at the clerk and grabs the coat. So be'etzem, they both paid for it. One of them paid for it in like a normal manner. The other one just kind of threw money at the guy and said, I'm taking it. So they both paid for it. So v'itana mekachu memker, if we would only have the scenario that they both need to swear when it comes to where they both claim to have purchased the cloak. So I would say that there hu diramu rabbanon shvua ole, that's where they need to swear, mishum demori, because Shimon, now we don't know who's the one who did it, that's the problem. If we knew who did it, so then beseder. But we don't know which one's which. So the shmendrik of the case. So in that case, mishum demori, because he's going to justify his actions. Ve'omer chavroi demei koyoy ve'ona demei koyoy. No, look, we both gave money. Sure, he gave money, but I also gave money. Ve'hashta detzricha ledidi ashkelei ono. Look, but I need it right now. I need the cloak. I'm cloakless. I need it. So I'm going to take it. V'chavra leizo litrach lizabin, and let my friend go and find another one. But by Metzia, where there isn't that, I guess, justification of like, well, I also paid for it, I think. So then maybe you wouldn't need a shvua over there. So tzricha, therefore we need both cases, both by the finding as well as by the buying, that if they both claim that it's theirs, they're going to have to each swear. Mekachu memker, but one second, when it comes to purchasing, vilechze, let's see, zuze miman nokat. Well, let's just go to the clerk and say, hey, clerk guy, who did you take money from? Where am I? So lotzricha denokat mitarvayu michad midaitu val korche. It's just explaining what I just explained a minute ago. I think the flow is kind of funny. I think the flow was kind of a little challenging anyways. But v'lo yadayna miu midaite miu bal korche. So it's talking about, as I explained earlier, it's talking about a scenario where right, Reuven was paying for the cloak, and then Shimon comes and he throws money at the clerk and takes the cloak and runs away, and we don't know who's the one who did it. And each one's claiming that it belongs to them. So in that case, they need to swear. Let's say that our Mishnah is unlike Ben Nanis. The Ben Nanis ha'omar, Ben Nanis said, Keitzad elu ve'elu boini de shvuas shav. that Benanis is concerned about a scenario where inevitably one of them is going to be lying falsely. He's referring to a case where a employer says to a clerk of sorts, a store owner, a banker, whatever it is, he says, I need you to pay my employees, go pay them, pay my employees on credit, and then, put it on my bill and I'll pay you back. So the clerk then claims that he paid the employees claim that they never received it. So now the employer is on the line from both of them, right? The clerk wants to get paid back for the money that he claims to have laid out to the employees. The employees claim that they never got paid, so they need to get paid. So the Chachamim in that case said that let them both swear that they're telling the truth, and then they can both claim from the employer. Benanis isn't into that though, because he's saying inevitably one of them is going to be lying, right? It can't be true both that the clerk paid them and that they didn't get paid. So inevitably one of them is going to be lying, so that's not allowed. So therefore, from the fact that we're saying in our Mishnah that both of them are swearing, well, one of them seems to be lying. So therefore, our Mishnah must not be like Benanis. So again, Lema Masnisin the Loka Benanis, the Benanis Amar Ketzad Elu Velu Boine De Shvua Shav. How can you have a scenario where both of them swear if one of them is going to end up swearing falsely? So Afilutema Benanis, you can even say that our Mishnah is Benanis. Hosam Vadai Ika Shvua Shav. Over there, certainly, objectively, by definition, someone's going to be lying. It's impossible that both the clerk paid the employees and that the employees didn't get paid. Impossible. Someone's going to be lying. I will say over here, maybe they both picked it up at the same exact time, in which case they technically, I guess, both are claiming that it's entirely theirs and nobody's necessarily lying. Friends, I'm going to stop here because I have to run. I think tomorrow might end up being a long daf. Oh my gosh. But I guess this actually wasn't very hard at all. The first daf so far of Shnei Mochs and Betalis, but I think it's going to get hard. Friends, I hope you enjoyed the first daf of Masechta BavaMetzia. Peace out.